Hello, we're going to do another truth meter. This is going to cover basically more of the dive down the rabbit hole of where we are, who are we, how did we get here. So I'm going to take a deeper dive here. Those of you that have been watching some of my videos, and I've talked about where we are possibly inside a moon, which we really don't know what a moon is. We know what we've been told is a moon and look up in the sky at the moon, but I've said some things about that. So let's get into this a little deeper. And it's going to be a clarification of the virtuals inside of virtuals that I've been talking about. So let's remember once again, this imagery, hopefully it doesn't get annoying, but the imagery I gave you of playing a video game, and you start identifying with the character in the game, and then that character in the game starts playing a video game, maybe on their computer, maybe it's like a Sims or something. And so then that character who you think is you starts identifying with the character in that game, and that character starts playing the game, and it keeps going. So let's hold that imagery here for a second. And I want you to think about, so these are mirror effects of consciousness. So think about, like in the Star Wars movie, I don't know if you saw that, where Rey is looking for her parents, and she goes down in this cave and she looks at the cave wall, and it turns into a mirror, and then it turns into like an infinity mirror. So when you have more than one mirror, it looks like your image, there's like tons of you, like all the way back, of images all the way back. So it looks like your image is going, and there's hundreds of you all the way to infinity, but it's really, those are just reflections. It's like a mind construct. It's not you physically in all those places. It's the effect of the mirrors. So it's the same thing as like thinking about it as playing a video game, and then you're the character inside of that game, inside of that game, inside of that game. So let's take this a little further. I had talked about us being inside the moon, and when we look at the sky is a mirror. And so I'm going to explain this a little more. I'm going to look at my notes because this all comes through me, and then it's like when I try to regurgitate it, it sounds just like that, regurgitation. So I said we were looking up at the sky into a mirror. Now, think of it. I want you to start to think of it, of things like this. So you're seeing me record a video, and let's say this whole wall behind me was a mirror, and I had everything mirrored, which means that you would see in the mirror the reflection of my computer, which is in front of me with the camera recording me. You would see that in the mirror. So let's say that everything in the mirror behind me got green screened, except for the computer. So the computer didn't have any green screen, but I was green screen. Everything was green screened out. And this is kind of like what it's like when you look up at the sky. Everything is green screened out except for like the moon. And the moon is literally a reflection of us where we are. So we're reflecting ourselves. Now, if they took that green screen around the moon off, you would see everything else that's going on here where we are. You would see all of it in the mirrors. So hopefully that makes sense. If you looked up at the sky and it was a mirror, it would show you exactly where we are, what we're living on, what we're in. But instead it only shows you the moon. Okay, so why, if we're on the moon or inside the moon, why would we see the moon up in the sky as this rock, this dry rock? And of course, it never turns. So I think of the moon as a ship. So why would we see it as this dry rock when we see grass here and trees and all this? Well, we're inside the moon. So let's flip it back around. I'm doing a video, the computer's recording me. You are inside the computer, not really, but you're inside of it somewhere on your computer, watching me through my camera on my computer. The visual that you see in the reflection is just of the computer. If this was a mirror, you'd just see the computer here. You wouldn't see yourself because you're not the computer. You're technically inside the computer, and then removed a couple virtuals away from that, where you might be on another computer at your house, or watching it on your computer where it was shared from another computer, who knows? So these are these virtuals. So you don't see yourself in the reflection because you're inside of another virtual. So when we look up at the sky, we're seeing the ship we're on, which I think is the moon. I think it's a ship, but we're inside that moon. So we're not seeing us. So these are all mind games, mind constructs. All right, let me make this a little brighter so I can even see what my notes I'm looking at here to try to make this make sense. Okay, and what I think where we are, I think we're inside of the moon, and we're in some kind of disc with a dome over it, and we're looking out at the sky, which is kind of like a certain section of the sky. Depending on where we are on that dome, we can look up. Well, what about the people down on the bottom of the globe? Well, if we're on a disc, we're just traveling around by plane like this. We're not like round, and they're down here looking this way, and we're up here looking this way. We're all there, all looking up. Depending on where you are on this disc is your view of the sky. So this person over here on this edge sees that section of sky. You see this section, but it's really just a limited section that we're allowed to see from the interior out of where we are. And what we're looking at is a mirror. We're looking out. I know this is like claustrophobic, but we're looking at a mirror, and that mirror is mainly green screened out, so that otherwise it would reflect this whole dome and everything and all the other stuff you might be able to see, who knows, or maybe we're too far away or whatever, but we would certainly see where the moon was or what was around it. All we're seeing is this limited thing. Like you would see the computer here, you wouldn't see necessarily you and where you are. So hopefully that makes some sense or gets you an idea of how to understand this. So I do think we're there in some type of dome. Now, it could be that we're inside of a crater. Like we started on this because one guy's theory was that we're actually on the moon inside a crater, because he thought that the shape of the Earth maps fit like into the crater and stuff. And that could be true, as far as, who knows, but I kind of feel like we're not. I feel like possibly the reason that fits is because this is artificial technology that we're in. So they're repeating the same things over and over, the same shapes, the same everything. Like when we saw the fake picture of the Earth that was supposedly taken from the moon, and then when they analyzed it, it was just photoshopped, and it was like the same cloud images repeated. So we knew it was fake. And then so I think they just use these shapes over and over again. made up repeated graphics. Everything here is measured, everything's right angles. It's those perfect angles or right angles or shapes don't happen in real nature. So when a soul projects its image somewhere, the soul is, they see flow, they don't see right angles, everything perfect. Um, but if we're in a dome inside the earth, remember that's not where you really are. We're a projection. So we're projected here from somewhere else. And is that somewhere else the real world? Um, it's it's our soul projecting us here. So this is something that someone sent me. What is this? There's the implication of this profound time in history, the end of the Mayan calendar, the great year, and the etheric window which has opened that will allow humankind and all biointelligence to take giant leaps forward in awareness, but simultaneously to let in dangerous energies due to the falling away of naturally occurring earth protection during this period. So I think what could be happening is possibly the green screen might come down, um, where we're actually then seeing what's in the sky instead of, in the mirror. Maybe that's part of the reason they're throwing so many chemtrails up there, or screens up there to block it. Let's see here. The most valued commodity on are pairs of humans and human DNA. Human souls and human DNA are very valuable. Possibly they make more bodies and pull in more souls. But so anyway, hopefully that gives you a deeper perspective of exactly where we are, what we're looking at, and why all this makes sense. Why we're on a globe, probably a globe-shaped ship, inside of it on a dome with a firmament. I mean, it all can go together. And then all these beings watching us. So let me go into this other part here. Okay, it's on my computer. So let's take this a little further with what's going on right now. So we're in this virtual universe divided into light and dark. So you have to have separation because you're in something that's not real now. So things separate. You're in light and dark. The dark forces take their turn ruling over us. Then the light forces take their turn ruling over us, and they swap back and forth. And depending on how many dark gods there are, how many light gods, and the goal is to get out of this whole construct altogether. But the matrix that we're on, or the moon, or the netting is everywhere. There's more than one ship here. It's like all this, everything's in here, including the dimensions. So we just want to get out of the whole game, period. And so we'll switch gears here a little bit. So you're giving you an idea where you are or where you're projected to be. The goal being to go back to your soul, which is being held somewhere in the real world, of which this is a copy or a fake world. So this came up during somebody's reading, and she let me record some of it so I could remember. The Piscean age was actually the age of light, and it got plunged into darkness. It's connected to ancient Egypt and Atlantis. So Atlantis and ancient Egypt are connected and got plunged into darkness. And then we had this whole thing fall. We had the fall. And then we were fooled to think we were in the Piscean age going into the Aquarian age. But I think when it was time for the Aquarian age, there were some ages intercepted in there. And I felt like there was 3 ages intercepted that we went through that we weren't supposed to go through. And I don't know how long these ages are. They say they're 2,000 years, but I don't know. but they didn't belong there. And now we've moved into the age of Aquarius, which is actually bringing back the light, or the return of the old rulers that were there in the Piscean age when things were very positive and a happier time. So anyway, so our mission coming here, I don't know if it was coming here, but our mission has been to awaken and to awaken other people so that we can realize what we're in and take it down. We're in a game, let's take it down and let's get out and go back to where we really are. Um, the problem is we're getting caught up in the game and getting caught up in our purpose in the game, which would be to fight for the light or to fight for the dark. And so this is still playing out. Now the light side is getting ready to take over and take its turn again, and the dark is moving away. So we're going to talk about those a little bit too here, but when the light, so we have been on a clock, like hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, and I've been cranking out these videos like I got to get the video done. It doesn't matter what it looks like, just get it done, because the clock was ticking, and I didn't really know exactly what was happening, but I think during this changing of the guard, where the dark that's in control lets go, although they don't want to, and the light takes over, we have, like, as souls, have this little interim where we have an opportunity to take this whole thing, the whole game down. And that's what we were all awakening to do, but we needed a certain number of souls to do it. And too many people got distracted into religion or philosophy or new age or this belief system or that, or all sidetracked instead of getting down to the nitty gritty of what are we in and what are we here to do, and let's do it, let's hurry up. They all got sidetracked, so we didn't have enough of us to do it. A lot of the people that were supposed to be helping us, a lot of the souls, they got caught up in drugs or whatever and got disconnected from their soul, or they got caught up in any number of things like we were talking about, or they got taken out. So the ground forces got distracted. So this is, I think, what we're doing now. We're all feeling kind of a pause or a break. It's like, okay, the sprint is over. We tried to get this done really quick. And this was just in the last year. We tried to get this done really quick where we had an opportunity to take this thing down, and we just didn't have enough people helping us. They were really knocking people out of the game. So, or other people were just sitting there hiding. They weren't waking up, had their head in the sand, and whatever. 1,000 different ways they're detouring us or taking us out. So what do we do from here? I think that we have made enough of a difference and we've made enough cracks in this thing that when we die and we leave, there's going to be another wave that comes in that can finish taking the whole thing down, the light and the dark, the whole thing. So they're going to take the game down and finish what we could have done, but we didn't get done. And I think that's kind of like why we don't feel the clock ticking now. I know a lot of us had that internal thing of right now, hurry up, right now, you got to get this, something's happening. We felt a sense of urgency, but we've passed the point of no return. And because these two sides, the light and the dark, or the real and the unreal, they're already splitting. So, so this is already happening, the change in the guard. But that break in there was when we had our opportunity. Okay, so just like the term light worker, there's light workers that came here to change things here, or that were basically a light worker could have come here to help change, or they were already here and they've just awakened so many times that it's impossible to stop them. They're going to awaken. So the light workers came here to change things, take the whole game down. Instead, they got into new age stuff telling them that they're here to bring in the light. So they helped bring in the light side. So instead of taking the game down, they worked for the purpose in the game instead and working for the light. So they got them to take a side. And then a lot of them got sucked into the dark side stuff. Because too many got sidetracked, now we're at the point of just helping to bring in the light, like I said, because we're not going to get it done this round. But we are getting out of here. And we're going to go back to the soul. The soul is hypnotized and possibly maybe in these vats or in some type of liquid or something. But you know, a lot of people seeing that, depending on where your soul is being held. But when we die, usually we get rebooted or restarted back in the game. But because we're not going to work for the light or the dark anymore, we're not going to play the game anymore, because we've realized ultimately I'm in a game. You go back to the soul with that level of awakening, the soul is going to wake up out of the hypnosis. And then you're going to go to where you really are. Let's see. So I think that might have been it. Hopefully that made some sense about where we are, where we're at right now with our purpose. And I think at this point, it's just to help this darkness go away and the light come in, and then maybe enjoy some time before we leave. I mean, you can stay here if you want, but realize you're in a game and you're could get trapped in the game again when it's the time or the turn of the dark to take over. So, which means you'll have to completely awaken to what you're born into. Because even though it's light side, they're still dark. They're the false light. So you're still going to get mind wiped every time. You're still going to be projected into a disc with a firmament. But that's inside a ship. So we could easily be leaving the ship and flying around. I don't know what this really looks like because we have the mirror all green screened out. So all we're seeing is our own reflection, the moon. So anyway, I'd love your thoughts on that, or if it made sense. It kind of made sense to me when I all the information just uncovered in me. It was like trying to spit it back out. I should have just recorded myself in the moment, but trying to spit it back out is a little bit hard. So I think we're going to come back for another video and get into what's going on politically or other stuff, although a lot of it's hard to read. I do feel like we're going somewhere positive. I do think that there's hope for the future for sure. And I just feel it. But anyway, so I'll see you in the next video.